My happy place is in the kitchen. I've knocked off work. I've got a minute to myself. I love cooking. I find it alleviates stress. I might have a glass of wine and turn the radio on and start making a meal.
Good mental health doesn't mean being happy all the time. It's about learning from life's ups and downs. Louis Theroux is a documentarian who has spent his whole career investigating what makes people tick. Today, I want to turn things around. I want to find out how he navigates the stresses of life and what he's learned trying to balance his career and home life. Thanks for coming down to Wales.
Pleasure. Nice to be here.
To see me today. What a beautiful day for it as well. The sun's been shining all week. It's amazing. Yeah. I know you love rap music. Who's your favourite rap artist if you're going to listen to an album or an artist when you're training?
Any kind of upbeat music, like rap's often really good for dancing, and I think that makes it good for running as well. There's a track called Numb Encore.
Oh, that's a tune, yeah.
Do you know that one? And that one really gets me going. And then I think for some reason Busta Rhymes, he's got a track called Give Me Some More, or Put Your Hands Where Your Eyes Can See, Where My Eyes Can See.
Yeah, they're really fast tempo, really quick.
Really fast. And for some reason, I mean, any good rap track will work, but those ones are especially good.
What does feeling well mean to you?
God, that's a big question. It means being present, I think, being connected to the people around me. From time to time, I suffer with anxiety, or I'm someone who's prone to worry about stuff that, you know, probably I don't really need to worry about. But it can distract you from the people around you, and I think being around people, enjoying their company, just basically not always thinking too much about the future or the past. It's just having fun or relaxing or being companionable.
For me, my happiness is linked to being really close to my friends and family and not being too distant from them. So we talk a lot, you know.
I made a decision, having gone through lockdown and enjoyed the experience of being around more for my family. I decided that I would travel less and do fewer shows in America.
Right.
Having a dad in the picture is, I think it's important for them, it's important for me.
Yeah.
Because life flies by.
Yeah, it really does, doesn't it?
When I was at school, they had a program called Accelerating.
The Whiz Kids.
The Whiz Kids. Right. Two classes a year would skip a year. The thing was, I was already a late developer, and so I had a high voice and hi everyone, yeah, my name's Louis. And then I put among kids who not only have gone through puberty, but some of them were already starting to go bald. You know,
really?
You know that age where
rugby boys and
hi,
stuff.
my name's Louis. And then I was working extra hard because I suppose partly to alleviate my sort of latent anxiety, but also just because I was so socially maladapted. But then when I hit the sixth form, I felt like I met some friends that I clicked with, who I'm still friendly with.
And you've been friends ever since?
And we've been friends ever since.
I was reading about your family. You come from a kind of a long line of creative, you know, screenplay writers, actors, you know, novelists. Your dad was quite a big American writer.
My dad is, I'm lucky to have both my parents. My dad, who turned 82 this year, he's an esteemed American travel writer and novelist, and his three brothers, who are writers and novelists. My brother's a writer and novelist and also a program maker. My cousin Justin is an actor and screenplay writer. When I came to leave university, I was thinking, well, what do I do now? And I was reluctant to do. There's some part of me thought I'm supposed to be a writer, but I was also self-conscious about not being as good as my dad, not measuring up and not wanting to invite comparisons. And I thought, well, I suppose I'm supposed to write a novel or something, but I didn't really see it in me. And then I got scooped up to be a presenter.
Was it with Michael Moore? You worked with Michael
Moore, yeah, on a satirical TV show called Michael Moore's TV Nation. So I look awkward, my clothes are terrible, I sound a bit odd, and then whenever I was required to look into the camera and talk, like do a piece to camera, or any situation that felt a bit staged,
yeah,
I became really self-conscious and awkward. I wasn't expecting to be put on camera, but nevertheless, here I am. I do sensitive stories and stories that involve angst, you know, death. For the most part, I'm able to leave those at work, and when I come home, it's I'm just with I kiss my wife, I hug my kids, and I reset. And there was a time in the early 2000s where I was just a bit confused about my professional direction. And I was like, what do I do now? Like, I felt I just lost my way with why I was making television. I had an existential feeling of doubt and despair based on just being confused about who I was as a professional program maker. And then you're thinking, like, I didn't get in this to basically think about how many viewers I was going to get.
Yeah,
I got in
the
this
views.
because I was curious about the world, and I thought it would be fun to explore subjects I was interested in.
Does it affect you personally, or do you kind of brush it off if something doesn't do as well?
I try and not look at Twitter too much in the aftermath of a show, because I'm, you know, it's like they say
That's where the hate comes, isn't it?
you know, you can see
Yeah,
100
definitely.
positive things, and then the nasty one will stick. Not to sound banal about it, but you just accept that not everyone's going to love what you do.
Yeah, no, it's always
Some
it's
people
always the
just
case.
find you annoying.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is.
What's driving you into these topics and to build a company, essentially?
For me, it's the excitement of still grappling with those stories that connect. We go through stress, we go through anxiety, we have fallings out, we doubt ourselves, there are misunderstandings, rage, despair. It's actually part of the normal complement of the human experience. Like,
Yeah.
you can't eradicate those things from life.
Always
right?
going to be there, yeah.
And I think that's in the DNA of all the programs that we make. And in all the projects I'm involved with, they're really about the human condition. They're about us facing the demons that we all grapple with and doing it in a way that engages audiences. In the end, your mental health, your sort of sense of the balance of things that take place in your life, your pleasures and pastimes, your connection with your family, these are all every bit as important, if not more important, than what you do. I think in general, what I've been guilty of in all my years of really being conscious is sort of catastrophizing, seeing things looming, you know, and then thinking like that's going to be a disaster. I'll never be able to do it, and then you can get into a loop of actually just like worrying. And then you just got to try and take a step back and accept that you've been through similar things in the past. It's not life and death. You're going to get through it. And there are ways of just taking yourself through it. Like most of the time, the thing that you might be freaking out about is not that serious.
It's never, it
If it's
doesn't
not
even
going
happen,
to
yeah.
kill you, it's not going
isn't it?
to, you know, it's not going to actually have life-changing consequences for you. You know, things like going on stage, giving a speech, you can be like, it could hang over you, but you do it, you get through it, you do it a few more times. A lot of times you just learn how to do something becomes familiar.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like with the TV and stuff, like live TV, I used to hate cooking on TV. Still find it difficult, but you do. It's like you overcome the stress once, and you think, oh, actually, I can do it, and you sort of believe in it a little bit.
Yeah, you just gotta lighten up, go easy on yourself. Don't like punish yourself if it doesn't work out, and be around people who are supportive.
Yeah,
And people who've
definitely,
got
I
your
agree.
back.
So listen, I've loved our chat, and I always think to end the day, it's nice to do a bit of activity, like a bit of a movement, a bit of exercise.
yeah.
It's nothing too strenuous, but I've got a couple of these little bad boys, paddle boards. You ever done this?
I think I once did it on holiday, but I can't say I did it for more than about 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's good fun. It's like, you know.
I don't remember them being inflatable either.
Do they think you're a cool dad when they see you on TV and stuff?
No, definitely not. They think
No?
I'm cringe dad. Jiggle Jiggle, when that came up, for some reason getting nearly 1 billion views, and the two oldest, it was like, oh, Dad, come on, just stop. We should just take it in though, shouldn't we? Look at this. Glorious golden sandy beaches.
It's beautiful. We're both going in, that's a fact. It's so wobbly. Right, okay.
It's supposed to be good for your core, I think. What? What?
You've got to balance.
What's happening? This isn't what I was expecting. What is happening?
Well wobbly.
I suppose I should just go in and get it over with.
No, avoid it if you can. Avoid it if you can.
Turn around.
You're doing right, you're doing good.
Turn around.
He's in!
It's actually a nice temperature, isn't it?
I wasn't very good at it, but I enjoyed the experience of just being out in the ocean. I think
You
falling
lasted
in...
longer than me. I was in about 2 minutes. You did about 5 minutes about falling in, but it's not as fun when it's choppy like this, is it? It's harder.
It's harder, but do you know what? Falling in was the best part.
It's fresh.
It was like a baptism. Where I go on holiday, where my dad lives in America, there's a creek, and sometimes I just put on a wetsuit and float down the creek.
Really?
Yeah, and it's such a nice feeling.
In the summer, not in the winter when it's cold.
Not in the winter, forget it.
What have you learned about, like, you know, the human condition, and especially around mental health? Like,
Yeah.
is there anything you've learned that you can share with us?
Well, in 2 words, only connect. Like, I think a lot of people suffer through isolation, through not having relationships, through loneliness, and I think the more that you can connect with other people, get together with friends, family, or make new friends, I find that just the connection that you make through joking around and across cultures with people you might only have just met, or as you get to know them, joking around, like laughter and, you know, having the strength to sort of recognise the indignities and the upset that life throws at you, and finding a way of laughing at them, and sharing your frailties using humour, I think is really a big part of how I've come to, well, not just dealt with anything that I've been challenged by in life, but also had a career, you know,
Yeah.
with the people I meet and with viewers as well. In the end, like, I'm really proud of how I've, alongside my work, had a healthy and happy family life, and I think I often think that, you know, I'm in danger of getting too much credit for my programs, like that. You know, I understand why people like talking about them, but I feel like the best part of me is reflected in who I am at home a lot of the time, and it's a side of life that we don't see. Like we don't see our private lives.
Yeah.
For the most part.
That's a lovely thought. So what you're saying is you're proud of your relationship, your family, and you're proud
Yeah.
of being a dad as well, being a good dad.
I'd like to think I'm a pretty good dad.
Yeah, it's not an easy job being a dad, you know.
Husband, and I get more stress. You asked about stress and mental health. In general, I get more stress and angst just from like the challenge of being a family, like being a dad, trying to stay calm,
Yeah.
trying not to lose your temper.
Teenage boys as well.
Yeah, I find like dealing with a cult leader or a convict in a prison is a doddle
Compared to
compared with
kids.
like a child that hasn't eaten enough or is underslept or feeling ill and is kicking off.
Yeah,
That's
much-
when,
it's a high
that's
stressor
when
for
the
sure.
rubber hits the road big time.
But listen, it's been great seeing you, man.
Thanks, Joe.
again.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for everything that you do for fitness and mental health.
Thank you, dude.
You're an asset to the nation. You're a national treasure.
Let's get a towel and get a bit of. I'm hungry. Should get a bit of food.
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
I'm ready.